Somehow I cannot. Okay, I can hear myself now. When I first came in, and Kenley and Brother Niệm prepare the sound system for me, and I said, I want to sing because that is also my tendency when I was young, I was little, and I wanted to like cheer up my spirit. I just would want to sing. uh, I'd like to invite everybody to enjoy our breathing. And when we listen to three sounds of the bell, we come back to our breathing and just to check in what is happening right now inside us, in our body, in our mind, and see what state of mind that I am now experiencing. Yeah. Just simply recognize and smile to the mind state that we are experiencing in this moment. So when we enter the monastery, we read on the board, our caretaking council sister wrote, "Welcome to the country of the present moment." And now we are sitting in the ocean of peace meditation hall, surrounded by friends on the path of practice. So this is the very precious moment that we cherish together. So let us enjoy three sounds of the bell. Most beloved teacher Thai, dear brothers and sisters, dear friends. So how are you feeling? If you're happy, relaxed, peaceful? Thank you. Thank you for being happy. In our monastery, there are only 3 weeks that we will complete our 3-month retreat. And yeah, it is also good that from time to time, we remind one another where we are at in our practice. We can review our aspirations, whether we have realized our aspirations that we made from the beginning of the Rains retreat. Any fruits, any flowers of the practice that have been unfolding on our path. Or maybe when we look back, we see that, oh, I'm not doing very well in the practice. When I look back into my practice during these 3 months, I see that sometimes I don't do very well in the practice. And right now, I've been experiencing some challenge in the practice. And so when we read the sutra, this chanting book, and there's a paragraph in the discourse on the 4 establishments of mindfulness is regarding the observation of the mind in the mind. And I say, oh, that speaks to my heart. It resonates with me. And so I'd like to read to the community this paragraph. When a practitioner is having the desiring mind, he is aware my mind is desiring. When his mind is not desiring, he is aware my mind is not desiring. He is aware in the same way concerning a hating mind, a confused mind, a collected mind, a dispersed mind, an expansive mind, a narrow mind, the highest mind, and a concentrated and liberated mind. So when we read this paragraph, we can check in and ourselves, oh, what kind of mind state that I am having? And then the Buddha continues to teach us he said, when the practitioner remains established in the observation of the mind in the mind, the observation of the mind from within or from without, or the observation of the mind both from within and without. And he remains established in the observation of the process of coming to be in the mind or the process of dissolution in the mind, or both in the process of coming to be and the process of dissolution, until understanding and full awareness come about. So I really like this part, and I'd like to share with you the mind state that I'm experiencing, and this is also my challenge that I'm practicing with. It is the mind of distraction. Do you have this distracted mind like me? Yes? Of course, in our daily life, we often get distracted. But I didn't pay attention much to it until I was sick with COVID. I tested COVID last month, just by the end of October last month. And I found myself so forgetful. So I was in quarantine for like 2 weeks, a lot of time just to stop, to rest and to heal. And I tried to also follow the schedule of the Sangha when I was in the room in quarantine, like to sit when the Sangha was having sitting meditation, but I could not stay connected with my breath. I try every day, but I just couldn't be able to follow my breath during the sitting. And I would just stand up and do some other things. And that is worrisome. Because I think to myself, as a practitioner, as a Dharma teacher who shares about the practice of mindfulness, and share about the orientation when people come and we show them how to do sitting meditation and walking meditation. And now I am so distracted, I just cannot stay focused on my breath. So I worry, I think, something's going wrong with me. So, and of course, it is okay that we know that sometimes we're doing great, but sometimes something happened and we're not doing great, and we just accept wherever we are at. So right now, my practice is to accept that I'm easily distracted. And when I read again this part of the sutra, I'd like to share with you also how I feel inspired by coming back to the basic practice to take care of my distracted mind. So we learned from Thầy that the 3 trainings, I wanted to test my sister, what are the 3 trainings that Thầy would always mention? Genevieve, you know it? No. The 3 trainings. Văn tư tu, listening, reflecting, and practicing. Sister Thần Nghiêm agree? Do you have any different idea? A different answer? It starts, Thầy, the father. People said Thầy is the father of mindfulness. So 3 trainings starts with mindfulness, and it goes along with concentration and insight. Yes, it's on the stained glass. The 3 trainings, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. So we see if we are not very mindful, then we cannot have a concentrated and liberated mind that's mentioned in the sutra. Instead, we have a dispersed mind or distracted mind. And so when I was sick and I had to do some pre-tests in order to get the PCR test. And so with all the symptoms, right, we must have all the symptoms that we can do the PCR test. And I was reminded of one time Thầy also said that as a practitioner, we can also at the same time be a doctor for ourselves. Like the doctor, they have medical records of our health, the health record. So I try to also make a health record for myself to see what happened to me. And it goes also in line with what it is said in the sutra. We use the mind of mindfulness to observe the mind of distraction. And it is also the observation of the mind from within or from without, or both from within and from without. So when we are distracted, we can reflect on the sources of our distraction. From within or from without, or both from within and without. So what are the internal and the external sources of the distraction that when we look into our tendency, we find can you tell from your experience, let's say internal sources. It is the anxiety, yes, that's right, anxiety, agitation, the mind that is imagining, that tends to imagine, that tends to overthink. Yeah, when we are distracted, we think too much. And this happens a lot, even now in my meditation practice. I remember one time when I was in the center in Hong Kong, and that was a summer afternoon. I was sitting with the Sangha. And in my meditation practice, all of a sudden came to my mind an image of a green mango. So big, a lot of thick flesh, but that kind of mango that my parents grow in their yard, so good. It's crunchy, but not so sour. And in Vietnam, we like to eat green mango, not too sour, with a kind of sauce, with soy sauce, thickened with sugar and red chili. So somehow in my meditation, that image just came in my mind. And I started to daydream about eating the mango in my meditation. It tasted so good to the point that it made my mouth water. And I continued to daydream. I did notice that I have lost track of my mindfulness, to the point that some saliva dripped on my robe, and it just startled me and woke me up. And so the first thing I realized that I have been daydreaming was that I turned to my left, and then I turned to my right, just to check my neighbors who are sitting next to me, if they saw me or not. Yeah. And they were sitting upright. I hope that they were doing good. They were concentrated in the meditation. And so I tried to make some adjustment in my posture, and I sat back again until the bell sounded to signal the end of the session. So it is the extended thinking, right? The imagination that cause distraction, the agitation, the worries, the boredom. Like when we get bored, we get distracted so easily, right? What else? There's the desire, right? Because when we sit or when we meditate, there's a lot of desire that come in our mind. So it is the 5 kinds of sensual pleasure: eating, sleeping. Yeah. So we can see in our distraction what kind of desire that our mind tends to have, and it may be some physical discomfort. There's some sickness in our body that cause us unable to sit still, to be agitated, or it may be some transition in our physical health. Like now, I'm transitioning into like midlife stage in my life, so I see in myself a lot of change. Physically as well as psychologically and emotionally. And when we have low energy, we don't have enough joyful energy we are not interested in doing things, and this is also part of the reason that causes us to feel distracted, to get distracted. Or if we have some strong emotions like fear or anger, it also contributes to distraction. And another element might be the ego. If we are too self-conscious about ourselves, then chances that we can get distracted. I didn't know. Of course, I know that I was scheduled to offer a Dharma talk on this day, but I didn't know until my younger sister said that, hey, the elder sister, we see your photo uploaded on the website. I said, what? And then they showed me the picture. And then I came and I looked at the screen and I saw that was a picture taken by Walter. And so my self-consciousness started to get activated. So I remember that my first thought was to blame Walter. I blame Walter for his camera lens being too sharp, too sensitive. It captured all the wrinkles and the aging thing. Something that I didn't expect. Yeah. And I even asked my sister, is there a way to ask to change the picture? So if we are too focused on our ego, our self-centeredness, so we can be distracted from what? From the mind of love, the kind mind, right? And talking about external sources for our distraction, there are the sense objects, right? The sense objects, the sights, what we see, the smells, the taste, and what else? The sounds. Yeah, we get distracted. And we also get distracted by somebody's words or actions. Or we can, especially when there's the presence of somebody or something that we like or dislike. So dislikes and likes contribute a lot to our distraction, whether it is an pleasant feeling, pleasant distraction, or unpleasant distraction. And very common, it is the internet. The internet that causes us to be distracted. I like to tell you a story I had with our teacher Thầy when I was attending him regarding concentration. So back then in Plum Village, one day I was attending Thầy. So as an attendant, we make sure that we prepare everything needed for Thầy, for him to come to the Dharma hall and give a talk. And that day, I remember that I lit the incense right here in front of his podium, just with the hope that it would give some ambience, some spiritual energy to help Thầy to offer a wonderful Dharma talk. So when we came in, I was sitting like the place where Brahmaden is sitting, and one of my big brother, he's the senior student of Thầy, and I could tell that he was anxious when he looked at the smoke of the incense. So he signaled for me to come up and extinguish the smoke, because he he believed that it's not good for Thai because it's just coming right in front of Thai's nose. So I was hesitant, and I was reluctant to. Who dares to to come close to Thai in order to do something that distract him when he's giving a Dharma talk? But my big brother seemed to be serious. So I had to come up, and Thai noticed this, so he just stopped teaching. He stopped speaking, and he looked at me. And so he knew that I was wanting to do something. And until I came back to my seat, he was still quiet for like a minute or so. I was so scared. And so, but of course, as a Zen master, he could finally resume his talk. And so, Thai, after the Dharma talk, Thai left the hall. I was following him. Halfway, he stopped and sat on a bench in the New Hamlet yard. He wanted to reprimand. It's not a right word, right? To admonish, to scold. So normally, outside of the Dharma hall, Thai would be very friendly and intimate. He would just say, "Con, lại gần với thầy con. My child, please come sit closer to me, closer." Yeah, he would encourage us to do so. And many times, I would just shy away from him. But somehow that time, he sit there on the bench and he said, "Con, ngồi xuống đó. Sit down." And somehow, I just found myself sitting on the same bench next to him. And so he was not happy. He pointed to the grass, sit down there. So I had to sit on the grass. And so he said, giving a Dharma talk is very important. And so you should know that Thai try to maintain his concentration. So what you did this morning was not right. And that distracted Thai. So he said something like that. So this I remember. Since then, I never light the incense to anyone before their Dhamma talk. So when we look again in the sutra, we see, we observe the mind from within or from without, or both from within and without, in order to also see the process of coming to be and the process of dissolution until full awareness and understanding come about. That was taught by the Buddha. And so when we look into the internal and external sources of our distraction, just to find out that when we're distracted from what? From being fully present for ourselves and for other people. When we are distracted, it's not easy for us to feel connected with ourselves or with other people. We are not fully present in order to feel what is happening inside us and to listen to ourselves. Right? And if we are distracted by strong emotions, then we are not free from the mind of love, the mind of kindness. Because when we practice mindfulness and concentration, we give rise to developing the compassionate mind, right? Because we're caught in the mind of, let's say, craving or ignorance or anger. So, and what else? We are not free. We're not free from the joy of living. When we have some worries, anxieties that is too overwhelming, and we cannot be free from being joyful, appreciating life. We don't have enough of inspiration, yeah? And we lack responsibilities in our life. This also happens to me, like when I'm distracted, when I work for the Sangha, I'm not very productive. Like other people, if they are focused well, it may take them, let's say, 2 hours to finish the work. But for me, it may take me 3 to 4 hours. 4 hours. And what is more important is that we don't want the distracted mind to become a habit. Yeah. Because when we look into our habits in terms of bodily action, speech action, or thinking action, our eating, drinking habits, our sleeping habits, the way we behave, we interact with people, yeah, it tells a lot about the sources, like where it comes from, whether it comes from a transmission, whether it comes from the need, or the consciousness, or the volition, the motivation. For example, if somebody tends to speak a lot, to give a lot of ideas, somebody tends to correct other people. And if we have mindfulness, we look into this habit, we can see that maybe it comes from transmission. The person may feel some insecurity in them. They want to prove themselves. The person may have not yet healed the wounded child in them. And so their speech is still harsh, not pleasant to hear, and cause hurt in other people. And so the person may need some care, some help. Or if before we want to say something, we as the practitioner, we can also look, just like slow down our wanting to speak out, just to ask ourselves this question: do I need to speak this out? Is it necessary to speak out? And if we see that, okay, there is the genuine need to speak out our idea in order to contribute, to help the other person or to help the community, then whether my speech is kind, whether my speech is true, or it comes from my perception, my personal perception about the other person, and I speak with my internal knots that I have for that person. And whether it is beneficial to help the other person to improve, or whether it's beneficial for the Sangha, for the community, or it just comes from our personal likes or dislike. Because I see that like my tendency to be distracted, to be forgetful, I find myself that I put things at different places and I can't remember where I have put them. And I just want to recognize this so that I don't want it to become a strong habit to the point that it has a negative impact on our life, and it may become some mental health concern. This is something I really don't want to happen to myself. Because a strong habit, a stubborn habit, if we don't take care of it in a timely way, we don't have the determination to practice in order to break that habit, then someday it may become some health issue that people with mental illness or mental disorders also have those habits, the obsessive habit that affect their relationship and affect their work. So when we recognize the habit in us, we find out the sources that cause the habit. And of course, the very important part is how to practice, right? And of course, coming back to the basic practice of mindfulness is to merely recognize. We recognize that, okay, this is the distraction. And we can also pay attention to the duration of the distraction. How long have I been wandering? How long have I been off track of my mindful breathing, so that I can shift my attention to this distraction and embrace it as my focus, right? Yeah. And then in our practice, there's also one that is called appropriate attention. Appropriate attention. Like when we listen to the bell, our teacher would also encourage us to turn on all the cells in our body for the practice of just listening to the sound of the bell, so that it can penetrate into every cell in our body, so that we can like do the practice of selecting watering. Because if we allow our mind to be distracted in other sounds or smells or tastes or sights that are not beneficial, that are not wholesome to our well-being, then we cannot live our life, cannot like live a healthy, happy life as a free person. And so when the sound of the bell is invited, it is like a reminder for us to like bring our mind to a clear and sharp focus, to the mind that is called one-pointed mind. Yeah, it is the mind of concentration. Yeah, to help us to stay focused. Can we listen to one sound of the bell so that we can practice together? Because with the practice of appropriate attention, it helps us to take care of our mind of distraction in a timely way, so that we can shorten the duration of our distraction. And if we do it regularly enough, then we can help break that habit and train ourselves to have good habits, more beneficial habits, so that we can be free, so that we can be happier. So when I experience the distraction in me and experience some lack of interest in everything, the sister wouldn't believe that when it comes to my turn to cook for the Sangha, I just don't want to cook. And especially, of course, it is my practice when it comes to my turn, and I give a Dharma talk. But if I have to choose, I would choose not to give a Dharma talk, because I'm not interested. I know I shouldn't. I'm not supposed to say this. But yeah, it's how it's where I'm at now. And I see that many times I attempted to come to Thầy Pháp Lưu and ask whether he could help me to give a Dharma talk. And but yeah, I have to come back to the practice. Thầy said that, it is okay for you to feel not good in your practice, but then remember not to give up. And so one of the practice to take care of my distraction is to give rise to the aspiration, to the determination. I would sit with Thầy in me and ask him, please help me, what to do. Sister Tuyết Nghiêm, she last week she shared, Thầy said to her that Thầy tin là con làm được, Thầy believes that you will do that, but I don't recall Thầy has ever said so to me. But I remember that one time Thầy shared with me when we have a chance to be with Thầy, he would always water the good seeds in us, water joy, water the skill that he want us to develop, and he would always encourage and inspire us. So one time he encouraged me to write, and I would just habitually say no, I cannot. So he said, remember, whatever we do, we do with our mind of love, and that it is an action from our heart, the act of love, and it is like an offering that we like to make to the Buddha and to Thầy and to the people we love. So when I see that, oh, I don't have any interest, I'm so bored, uh, then I have to practice more, more diligently, in order to give rise to the vow, to the aspiration, why I'm here, why I'm on this path, and what Thầy has expected of me. And I also come back to touch the love of my mother, because like when I was with my parents, I would just want to eat out, and my father would say, "Don't eat out. It's not hygienic. Whatever you want to eat, tell mommy. Mommy can cook for you. There's no other dishes that are as delicious as the dishes cooked by mommy." And so I had to take refuge in the love of my mother in order to make the food for the Sangha. Because like if I just depend on myself at that time, I was just not able to make it. So I take refuge in my mother, because whatever she did, she would do it with love. And also think about my younger sisters. Yeah, when they look up to their elder sisters, they need some inspiration. Yeah, in our Hamlet, the sisters Hamlet, we have the we learn English a lot. This is like a trend now in the sisters Hamlet, and so we try to inspire one another about our English class, and sometimes we just challenge ourselves with the new English words. So I also want to remind myself of the aspiration, of the inspiration that we like to bring in for our loved ones, and the joy, just to bring in, to water the joy back in ourselves. And Thầy would said that we are the practitioner, but at the same time, we can be a doctor and take care of ourselves, our well-being. And we can also be a warrior courageously determines to move forward, not to fear, not to give up. And also, we can be an artist, because an artist is open to the beauty in life. An artist knows how to find joy and inspiration in their life. So if we like to practice appropriate attention, we can pay attention to the good qualities that we can find in a practitioner, in the doctor, the artist, and the warrior. Yeah, just to do whatever we can to for us to take care of what is there inside us, and so that we can awaken again the mind of love, the mind of kindness. And another important element in taking care, transforming the distracted mind is, of course, to exercise. This is my weakness. To exercise, and to try to do more physical work rather than to do mental work, so that we can be out there in nature. And when we do physical work, it is easier for us to feel the movement, feel the bodily action, so that we can be more mindful of our bodily movement. And in our tradition, to practice the mindful gathas, right? Yeah, I'm so glad that my younger ones, for this winter retreat, 3-month retreat, they aspire to write on like flashcards the gathas for the daily activities during the day, like brushing the teeth, getting out of the bed, opening the door, and so on. They write on each flashcard and they put in their pockets. And whenever it comes to a certain activity, they can take out that card and read it line by line, remembering to come back to the mindful breathing and practice. Yeah, through, like for the whole time, doing that activity. So it is also good to remind us that, just by coming back to the very basic practice, it helps us to cultivate again, to strengthen again the mind of mindfulness, and to build concentration. So, okay, let us listen to one sound of the bell. As always, as practitioner, the first thing when we realize that we're not doing well in the practice is to have kindness to ourselves, and we accept where we are at. Like, we know that sometimes our mind tends to dramatize the issue, or we tend to intensify the issue. We think that, oh, that is problematic. Or on the contrary, sometimes we just want to ignore the issue. But here we we don't want to do so. We don't want to dramatize things, nor ignore them. Rather, we look at the issues and we cultivate calmness in order to look deeply into the issues. So it wouldn't be a problem with the practice. With the practice, we see that, okay, this is just an experience for me to get down to practice and to be more diligent. If we see that we lack energy, we don't have the joy, the interest in doing anything, then we remind ourselves about the 5 powers. So we have the 3 trainings that we mentioned earlier about mindfulness, concentration, and insight that help develop the mind of love. Then there are the other 2 elements, which are faith and diligence. So we maintain faith in our practice. If we put our heart into the practice, then transformation will happen. And if we have, with diligent practice, appropriate attention, we take care of the distraction, and at the same time, we cultivate focus, like one-pointed mind, like focus in the very little act, very little activity in our daily life, so that we can build up slowly the energy of mindfulness and concentration. And so it's just become an experience for us to see. And so when you come into Deer Park Monastery, you see the mindful bumps. When I first came to Deer Park, I like that word, mindful bumps. With the practice, with the support of our teacher, of our fellow practitioners, what seems to be the roadblock can become mindful bumps. So it's okay. It's okay. We have hope. We have faith that one day we can get over this state of mind so that we can be stronger and happier. Okay. So I thank you for your presence and for your listening and for your support. I'd like to end here.
So dear community,